welcome to another IWFCI Uncertain Times series. Now, this is the third virtual event in our series, with today's topic being redefining leadership in a post-pandemic world. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing Jacqui Savage. She is the founder of Medcorp Technologies as our special speaker, which will be coming up shortly. We'll also be hearing from a select group of our IWFCI presidents who will be sharing their insights as global leaders and how they have been able to redefine leadership as it pertains to the last few years, as well as moving forward in a post-pandemic world. Now, if you are joining us on the live stream, please feel free to comment. In the comment box, you will see one below where we are live streaming. Let us know where you are watching from, what part of the world you are joining us from, and share a little bit more about your business. We would love to network with you and find out more about you and your business. And that's what this event is all about: learning, sharing, and networking. And today's event is set to be another wonderful live stream. Thank you for joining us. Now, without any further ado, let's welcome our IWFCI founder and chairman, Diana Abruzzi.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. I know it's been a very challenging time for everyone around the world over the last 2 years due to the extraordinary demands placed on us to do with the pandemic. For many, things may never be the same again. For others, it might be about regrouping and bouncing back. And this is what these Uncertain Times webinar series have been all about: to encourage and support each other in a changing time. So whatever your circumstances may be, please do not lose heart. It is not the end, but the ongoing journey of a new challenge and adventure. But it has and will test our character and resilience, for crisis does not build character, it only reveals it. The strength of a true leader is revealed when it comes under fire. And it can be safe to say that the past few years have been an extremely testing period for leaders across all countries, in all organizations, large or small. And that is why we are here today, to hear from each other and to grow. As the lockdowns are now gradually being lifted across the world, we are beginning to realize what our new normal is going to be like. As leaders, we have to work quickly to get ahead of this and plan. Addressing disrupted supply chains, reassure employees that may still be in remote workplaces, and also being the bearer of bad news when necessary. And while doing this, still maintaining our own energy to inspire confidence and to continue motivate those dependent on us, whether it be our staff or family members. The COVID pandemic has shown us that there is no standard playbook on how to adapt and change our leadership styles in the face of uncertain challenges. But what has become clear, as leaders, we have to become more accommodating than ever before, for it is no longer them and us. We are all in this together equally. Nature does not have favorites. But to do this, we must gain trust. The definition of any good leader has always included achieving an element of trust. But with the uncertainty of COVID, this has assumed an even deeper importance, where trust will be imperative with any decisions or actions taken going forward. And this can be developed by showing employees you care for each individually, so they know they are not just a mere cog in your wheel. But we're all working together, for together we are stronger. Therefore, developing a greater sense of shared purpose is so important. As leaders, we need to work on more on this than ever, building a shared purpose with our staff and members, especially with teams operating remotely and with uncertainty looming large. People need an anchor to get a sense of connection and belonging. This can be achieved with shared purpose. As we try to do this with IWFCI, with our shared purpose, to help people to grow their businesses from conception to the international markets through all our chapters across the world. But given the upheaval this pandemic has had on people and how it has impacted them and how isolating the entire experience has been, as leaders, we have to help those around us connect with their role and how it ties back into our business and personal goals. To achieve this, we all must become more visible, even in standard meetings, to establish everyone's presence, to make them feel not forgotten, that they are very special and imperative to the group. When the pandemic hit, tough decisions had to be made. Leaders across the globe were compelled to act urgently to enable remote working. This was achieved by accelerating human and machine collaborations by adopting a more digital way of working. Those in leadership roles must continue to make such tough decisions, whether it is ongoing restructuring, more automation, identifying new revenue streams, or even refocusing on the business altogether. Either way, the road ahead will involve making even more new tough decisions, or as the military would like to phrase it, VUCA, meaning volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And to do this successfully, we must develop the traits to be flexible enough to accept the challenges before us, the agility to pivot easily with it, and most importantly, the empathy to help others to overcome them rapidly. And all this has to be taken with integrity, humility, and without guilt. And in closing, one of the key messages I would like you to take away as leaders from today is the importance and the value of taking care of your people, whether it be workers, colleagues, or family. The safety, health, and well-being of those who live and work close to you should always be your top priority in times of hardship. For as I have always said, without the human touch, we have nothing. I'm now so looking forward to hearing today from some of the amazing women who undertook to start the IWFCI chapters in their countries. They are truly the champions of IWFCI's success, and my enormous gratitude to every one of you. I will now hand it back to Anne-Marie, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Diana. We've got a little bit of time, so I thought it would be lovely to just say hello to the wonderful ladies who are joining us from all over the world. We have Namita K. I'm not sure where you're from, Namita, but she says hello here. We have Yvette Lee. We have, let's see, Anne Hua. I think Anne is from Singapore, isn't she, if I'm correct?
That's correct.
Diana? Yes. We have South Africa join us from IWFCI there. We are truly a global community. Vino Pillay, welcome, welcome. And we have Rennie Francis. Good morning, everyone, from IWFCI India. It is wonderful. Keep the comments going. Keep networking. This is a wonderful opportunity to meet fellow members of IWFCI from around the globe. You never know. You may be one conversation away from your next trade deal, which is what IWFCI is all about. If you're not yet a member and you are in one of the countries from which one of our presidents is, by all means, please feel free to reach out to them to find out more about how you may be able to join. Well, thank you so much, Diana. I'm sure we'd all agree that we feel very inspired by your opening speech. So thank you so very much for sharing that with us today. So it gives me great pleasure now to be able to introduce you to our speaker, our special speaker, Jacqui Savage. So let's welcome Jacqui to the floor. Jacqui Savage is the founder of Medcorp Technologies, a medical device company developing wearable technologies for the healthcare industry. As a young Australian product design engineer, she is passionate and dedicated to improving healthcare through innovation. Jacqui believes strongly in the importance of the design process in the development of medical devices, that a product is not just finding a solution to a problem, but also improving the end user's experience. Obtaining a Bachelor of Engineering in Product Design, specialising in biomedical applications, Jacqui has used her diverse range of skills to develop products from concept through to manufacture and global distribution. Voted top 100 Global Engineering Innovations of 2014 NASA Tech Briefs, and a finalist in 2015's MedTech's Got Talent competition, Medcorp Technologies has received numerous industry acknowledgements and awards for their innovative approach to enabling remote healthcare. Welcome, Jacqui.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction. It's an honour to be invited to speak here today, so thank you for the opportunity. I guess today I would like to share with you a little bit of my journey and what we do at Medcorp, but I guess more importantly, the impact the last 2 years has had on our company and how, as a leader, I am redefining what leadership means to me in a post-pandemic world. The technology which sits behind Medcorp was created as a result of a very personal experience I had more than 11 years ago when I was 21. I was a biomedical engineering student at university, and I was always interested in technology and healthcare, but it wasn't until a very close friend of mine was diagnosed with cancer and underwent chemotherapy treatment that my desire to develop technologies of impact really came about. For those of you who don't know, one of the primary side effects of chemotherapy is a suppressed immune system, making patients highly susceptible to infections, where infection is actually one of the primary causes of death for patients receiving chemotherapy under a cancer diagnosis. As a result, patients are required to self-monitor their temperature in between treatments in order to detect the earliest signs of infection, such as a fever. Back in my third year, I think it was, of university, my friend had just completed a routine chemotherapy infusion on a Friday afternoon and returned home with a slight headache, but didn't think anything of it. The following day, she still had a bit of a headache, but didn't check her temperature, as she thought it was just a side effect of the treatment. Come Sunday, she took her temperature and it was slightly elevated, but didn't call her doctor as she didn't want to disturb him on the weekend, which is really common, thinking that he had more critical patients and more important patients to attend to. The following day, she was actually admitted to hospital and passed away 3 days later from an infection. The months following her passing, I was furious. To be honest, I actually felt that our healthcare system had let her down, and that with more intelligent technologies and monitoring systems that she would still be here today. And that was the pivotal moment where I really decided this is what I wanted to do. And I began developing the very first iterations of the technology we have at Medcorp, which is a wearable, non-invasive patch device which measures core body temperature continuously from the surface of the skin, enabling early detection of infection and predictive health diagnostics. I've got a little example there. I think, from that moment through to where we are now, it certainly has been a challenging journey to date. It wasn't until a few years ago that we actually demonstrated that our technology can achieve core body temperature accuracy readings, which are actually in line with the clinical gold standard, that being a very invasive probe that goes straight into the pulmonary artery of the heart. Demonstrating that the same accuracy can be achieved non-invasively using our technology was the first time it had ever been done in research and in industry, and was an absolute tremendous milestone for us as a company and as a technology. We were scheduled to complete our clinical trials, which were required for market launch last year. But unfortunately, the outbreak of COVID-19 delayed these because we were not able to access hospitals and patients, and really putting us under a lot of pressure and dragging our timeline out by about 18 months. We've since commenced those studies and those trials about 2 months ago, but still put a very challenging moment for us. It was a very challenging moment, especially for myself as a leader. When we were restricted to working from home, our trials were completely halted. All of our development efforts were put on hold. And as a startup, we didn't have the luxury to fund essentially a holding pattern. And I was faced with making some very challenging decisions about the company. I think the traditional response for businesses in circumstances like this, or like these, is to make budget cuts. Ask our teams and our employees to do more with less, rather than asking the more important question of how can we do more with what we currently have? And the latter is something that played on my mind quite a lot and prompted me to look at our technology and see how else we could still hit our target market launch date despite being delayed by 18 months and running out of budget. It was also really important for me to maintain positivity and drive within my team and support mental health. Medical device development, the wins and the successes are few and far between. So maintaining that momentum was really critical for the company culture and also the individual work efforts of my team members. As a result of this, I decided to pursue a secondary market launch strategy, which had been sitting in the back of my mind for quite some time. And this was to use our technology as an infection control management system for livestock. Entering the agricultural space has been a known area of opportunity for us. And as we couldn't enter hospitals, we rolled out a full validation study in horses and cattle in Australia instead last year, showing that our technology is an effective screening tool for infections. We're currently in the next stages of development with this, which will see a new biosecurity livestock management system launch end of next year. And this has been all made possible through tremendous collaboration efforts with other organisations. I think the pandemic has certainly forced us at Medcorp to think differently about the commercialisation process. Commercialisation traditionally teaches us that we have competitors, not collaborators. And when I look back at the last 2 years, to me, the silver lining, or the main silver lining that stands out for me throughout the pandemic, it's not the working from home, although that has been nice at times, but rather for a very, very brief moment in time, we saw for the first time on a global scale what is possible when we redefine our definition of success from financial to impact and open up to collaboration. The vaccine showed us that incredible success is achievable when it is no longer a war against market share, but a race against time. We need to take these learnings and apply them to leadership. And leadership, I think, can be described in two ways. The first being the traditional concept of being out the front and leading the charge, whereas the second is a leader who is responsible for the people who are in their charge. And when reflecting on how the last 2 years has impacted my definition of leadership, the latter is something which I believe is the new leadership style in a post-pandemic world. I think demonstrating leadership by being responsible for the people in your charge. By saying that, I don't just mean your employees and your team, but your customers as well, your community and your supply chain, which is incredibly vulnerable. And being responsible doesn't mean paying invoices on time or providing career growth opportunities for employees. But if the pandemic has taught us nothing, it is that your physical and your mental health should be prioritized and supported. As leaders, we are the ones who need to provide the systems and support structures to the people in our charge to feel safe and supported, both mentally and physically. And we should be the ones to establish these systems and facilitate these conversations. And we should be establishing them through collaboration, because I genuinely believe that that is the way forward. And if we want to achieve strong leadership in the future, that it needs to come from a position of collaboration. I am conscious of the time, so I'm not going to talk too much more than that, but I think I might close it there. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Jacqui, thank you so very much. We do have a few more minutes to spare. So what I thought I would do is I've got a question for Jacqui. And if you watch, I've got a lot of comments there. Yvette Lee says, well said, Jacqui. If you do have a question, pop it into the comment section. And even if we can't get through it, towards the end, we may have a little bit of time to address some more questions. However, I'm sure that Jacqui will pop into the Facebook group and be able to network and answer those directly. You shared so many wonderful insights about the learnings that the last number of years have taught you moving forward and how you will redefine leadership. If you could go back in time, Jacqui, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself that maybe do something different? Was there a learning that you wish you had have learned quicker, sooner? What would be that one insight you would share with yourself?
Hindsight, 2020 vision, isn't that the saying? Look, there's nothing, I never like to look backwards and say, I wish I did something differently, but there's definitely been a lot of learnings along the way that I wish I learned faster. And I think the biggest one of those actually would be to back myself more and my team more and have a little bit more courage to challenge that commercialization process that we're taught so well. In medical device development or in technology development, especially, where we're taught to prove the tech, protect the intellectual property. You can't get investment without that. Whereas when we look at collaboration and we really want to make an impact, if we're getting patents and protecting our IP, we're closing a lot of opportunities for collaboration. So I think I probably, if I was to go back now, I would challenge that a bit more and see where in our pipeline could we have accelerated the impact of our technology in the community and in the industry by not potentially abiding by what we're taught from technology commercialization. For me, it's to get it out there and to have that impact is the priority, and why we do what we do at Medcorp. And there's a lot of red tape and a lot of processes that do slow that down, which I think could be, with a bit of courage, maybe knocked over a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, particularly when you think of the greater good. Like the product that you're getting out to market or want to get out to market would have such an incredible impact positively for the users, the end users, that why take years, sometimes I would imagine, for protecting and so forth, when you think that iteration of the product may be, 2 or 3 times even more evolved, which could be when you get that brain space together, that collaboration. I love that. We've got Namrata, who has just had a comment there. Well said, feeling safe and supported mentally and physically, most important for facilitation, or wonderful lessons. So thank you so much, Jacqui, and please continue to network. If you've got questions that you think, I wish I had an opportunity to ask Jacqui of that, we've got a little bit of time after all of the presidents have spoken. We'll certainly pose that to Jacqui, or she will pop in after we've finished and network with you there. So thank you so much, Jacqui.
Thank you.
And so now we're going to have our IWFCI president from India, Dr. Daphne Pillai. So let me just do the introductory video, and we look forward to hearing from Dr. Daphne.
The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted small businesses drastically, posed a major public health crisis, and had an immense setback on the world economy. Leadership during these times had to be redefined and re-established. As part of IWFCI's mission and my mission as an educationist, we had to help educate entrepreneurs and the public on how to cope not just with a medical emergency which would affect us physically and mentally, but also educate them on ways to rebuild their businesses, take on new challenges, and create new entrepreneurship opportunities. Our leadership had to determine how we can keep our members engaged while providing them the benefits of being part of this worldwide business community. Since social media was one way of communicating with the world, IWFCI India started off their mission by posting messages on the official IWFCI Facebook page every week, informing the general public of the different platforms available for making communication possible through webinars, podcasts, video conferencing. And we did this by sharing the links and website addresses of digital platforms like StreamYard, Zoom, WebEx, YouTube, Facebook. These were popular streaming sites, and we had to educate the world on the digital possibilities available to communicate. Leaders had to adapt and groom others to adapt to the new normal and the next normal. New uncertainties of our time had to be confronted and brainstormed. And IWFCI India National Chapter did this by organizing 3 virtual fireside chats, bringing in experts from across the globe to give information on their areas of expertise and to discuss and deliberate on future courses of action. We were able to assemble from different parts of the world and from different time zones people, but with the same objective to exchange ideas and how to make progress around the virus and move forward. IWFCI India were able to bring together a doctor from Africa, a financial markets expert from Canada, an entrepreneur from America, a pharmacist from China, a business entrepreneur from Singapore, an educationist from India, and others. This set the tone for redefining old concepts and setting new leadership goals for meeting the new challenges faced. The first virtual fireside chat was on global business perspectives in post-COVID recovery. The second virtual fireside chat was on the topic global business environment, the new normal. And the third fireside chat was on sectors leading change in the COVID era. Leaders needed to change their vision based on these unforeseen times and act accordingly to be in sync with the circumstances. Through these fireside chats, entrepreneurs and business leaders were advised on how to safeguard and manage money in uncertain times, how to make the work from home culture successful in uncertain times, and how to prevent as well as to deal with mental health issues in uncertain times. IWFCI India then published Neo Vision, a compilation of the 3 virtual fireside chats. And this book is now available on Amazon for posterity to benefit from the collective wisdom of these global experts. This document has today become a vital record for planners and policymakers in the fields of pharmacy, aviation, business, education, big data analysis, mental health, who now have a blueprint before them on how to tackle these areas in the post-pandemic scenario. In the new economic landscape, IWFCI India plans to continue to financially empower aspiring entrepreneurs from marginalized communities in a scalable and sustainable model. And for this mission, we organized a virtual large-scale global event, Symphony 2020, as a fundraiser to support our various initiatives. There were renowned artists performing at Symphony 2020. We were able to financially empower a candidate who started her own designing and tailoring business, which is flourishing today. In the post-pandemic world, leaders must not only manage the bottom lines of business, which are earnings, income, and profit. Leaders must also support their teams and their talents in ways they didn't have to before. In order to provide value to both the faculty and staff at the educational institutions that our family business manages, we had to provide faculty and students with alternative opportunities when in-person development had stopped. We did this by partnering with many new digital businesses, such as Coursera, to offer them additional coursework, certifications, and training to continue their own journeys of self-improvement and empowerment. We as leaders had to learn how to manage our workforces remotely and how to ensure productivity and output while putting their health and well-being first. These past almost 2 years have been challenging ones. But just like past challenges, we have found ways to adapt our old businesses and create new opportunities. This, at its core, is what good leaders do. They adapt and learn how to evolve their businesses and themselves to support their enterprises and improve them. Typically, this evolution takes years in the making, and leaders plan for the new times. The pandemic was a mere catalyst to accelerate us into a new era of more digital communications, openness to move away from traditional work hours and create work from home strategies. And of course, to help focus on people, something which just Diana and Jacqui said, to help focus on people, which is a key part to any business, to focus on their mental and physical well being. And I don't see these changes going away even when COVID-19 becomes just a chapter in our history books. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Dr. Daphne. Thank you for sharing that, how you were able to redefine leadership and obviously all of the wonderful projects that have come from that. So now it gives me pleasure to introduce our IWFCI president from Japan, Tomomi Sugahara. So let me just introduce her with the video and then we'll welcome her to the stage.
Hello.
Hello, Tomomi. Yes, the stage is yours, so we look forward to hearing you present.
Hello. I'm Tomomi Sugahara, the representative of IWFCI Japan. In Japan, COVID-19 is getting despairing, so that from the month, the city has begun to become lively. And since this phenomenon, the business situation is changing dramatically. Work at home and web meeting become established and changing from the way I used to work. I feel it business that are changing in response social trends are growing and succeeding. In Japan, the number of female suicide has tripled due to the COVID-19. Tripled due to the COVID-19. Meanwhile, male suicide is declining. Females that say
Tomomi, it seems as if your internet is lagging a little bit, so we'll just see if this catches up. And well done for, I know that English is a second language for you, so well done on that. So we'll just see whether the internet comes back, and we'll let Tomomi continue her presentation. Let's see if she can come back here. That's about being live. We are very reliant on the internet, and we know that what wonderful technology to be able to have Tomomi and all of the other IWFCI presidents participate from different sides of the globe through this wonderful technology. But we are still very reliant on that. So let's see if we can get her back up again.
Sharon,
And
I believe that
Tomomi,
the
yes,
active
continue.
participation of women in society will lead to the revitalization of the economy. There are few Japanese small and medium-sized enterprise that are cautious and have hard time advancing into the global market. I would like to active even more information sharing exchange through IWFCI and increase the number of Japanese companies expanding globally. Thank you for your cooperation. The power of women changing society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Tomomi. It was lovely to have you share that with us. So lots of challenges, but looking forward. And of course, we look forward to having many more Japanese businesses joining your chapter and being able to participate in global trade. So thank you very much. Thank you. So now it gives me pleasure to introduce you to our IWFCI president from Singapore, Annie Chan.
Okay, hi everyone. All right, so this is Annie, and thank you so much to IWFCI headquarters for organizing this webinar and putting this together to let all the various presidents to share our views and on how we can look at redefining leadership post-pandemic. I was thrust in the leadership role like about 3 years ago. All right, and I know being a leader is never going to be easy. And now throw in COVID-19, all the plans I had for 2020, 2021, and even beyond, is suddenly now kind of redundant, right? Because all that we planned was everything physical, everything you do it face to face. But we also have to come to acknowledge that COVID-19, thrusts us into a world that is kind of like so unknown right now. I mean, it changes the way we live, it changes the way we run our business, the way we work, the way our children go to school. Everything changed overnight. And we are all wondering, when will this be over, or would it really be over, right? A lot of question in our head is, will this really be over? But we don't really have answers, right? And as leaders, it is even more trying for us to try to figure out, is there an answer that we may have for the people that we are, under us, that we are leading? All right, so shall we wait and see, or shall we kind of like face it and accept that we will never ever go back to our old ways? All right, and what shall it be? I mean, in Singapore, we faced a lot of restrictions. I'm from the events industry. One restriction by the Singapore government kind of like put the entire events industry to a dead knot. All right, physical event, although it's slowly making a comeback, but organizing a typical physical event is no longer what it used to be. Traveling is challenging. People are also not truly encouraged to travel at this point in time. To organize large-scale event comes with a lot of terms and conditions, and price and cost of running physical event is now more than what it used to be. So being a player in the events industry, I'm not afraid to share that I lost easily 2 years of income. So what can that be? And I also realized that a lot of events under IWFCI Singapore has to be on hold. And to be very honest, I know I have members coming up to me and asking me, so Annie, what kind of value is IWFCI going to bring to us and to our business? All right, so on a physical front, I would say that I'm very, very lucky because my training credential allowed me to pivot and focus on e-training for events and for leadership courses. But events management is still my passion, all right? And I'm very, very thankful that together with one of my clients, Miss Anne Phua, which I think quite a lot of you all know who she is, all right? She's also the founder of IWFCI Singapore. We came together and put together a series of virtual events, right? And through her global network, we got connected to over 10,000 of people across more than 100 countries. And interestingly, it's because of this virtual space, we reach a much bigger audience compared to the 10, 20 physical event that we did over 5 years. And really, this is all thanks to the digital space that allowed us to make connections so much more easier. All right, and I think earlier, like what Ms. Diana and Ms. Dr. Daphne have said, the virtual world really blurred the line for all of us. And I think as leaders, we need to embrace this and we need to be very open about this. So because of this events that I did with Anne, right, it kind of like made me see light at the end of the tunnel for my own events business. But as a leader here in Singapore, I asked myself, what about my members? What about their business? And I thought perhaps let's go digital, right? I mean, everybody's going digital, let's go digital. But I'm also aware that there's tons of virtual events out there, right? I mean, there are so many virtual events, there are paid virtual events, there are free virtual events. And it got me and my board and my team thinking, we have to be out of the box, all right? I mean, in 2020, virtual events was a novelty, right? As we progress, we realized that people are starting to get fatigue. So how can we be different? But we also acknowledge that we still have to have a part in it. And therefore, we decided to venture into areas that IWFCI Singapore has never done before. All right. And we decided that, let's go into webinars and podcasts. So we decided, let's ride the virtual wave. All right. So we did a series of BREAM webinars. We did a series of BREAM podcasts. And it's through this podcast, I got to know this wonderful lady, Miss Vino. She's going to be our IWFCI president in South Africa soon. And it's through her network, it allowed us to connect to so many more inspiring women out there who step forward to share their voice on the podcast series. To date, we have organized about we have done 3 webinars, all right, and we have done 3 podcasts, which allow us to feature close to 30 different speakers globally. And we also have like male speakers, all right, so we want to hear the male voices as well, All right. And for members who stood up and took this opportunity to share their voices on the webinars and on the podcast, they definitely saw opportunities to connect with a much more global, bigger network out there. All right. And we know that just webinars and podcasts is not enough. Everybody is now very much on the social media platform. All right. So the next thing we decided to do was, hey, let's profile our members, right? I mean, they've been with us, they supported us, despite the fact that we couldn't do a lot of physical event. Interaction is kind of like limited. We decided that, hey, let's take this opportunity and feature them. And therefore, we created this whole members feature, all right, so that we could let them share about what business they do. And by posting this on our social media platforms, such as our Facebook and our LinkedIn, we hope that we are opening a whole pool of connections for our members out there. And with this, we hope that we can actually, give them a much more global reach. All right. And if you see the feature, yes, we do have male members. All right. So we are not just only open to a female. We do open to male members because we do business, right? I mean, we do business with male, with females, and it is always nice to hear a man's perspective where business is concerned. All right. So 2020, 2021 either broke the world, or we look at it a much more positive side, it actually brought the world closer together. It also kind of like forces leaders like myself to reflect on my own leadership style, the way I lead my team. All right. And the pandemic literally taught me to be more patient, not just with my team, and also with my coworkers and even with my family, right? It also taught me more tolerance. And it also taught me that I have to accept change as a leader. And the pandemic also taught me that every one of us have a story to share, and all of us are fighting our own battles, whether we like it or not. So moving ahead, I would say that leadership can no longer be, I say, you follow, and you do. All right. I believe that we'll be seeing a lot more engagement between leaders and our teams, all right, leaders and our co-workers. And I believe if we continue to let communication to flow openly, practice a little more empathy in our leadership, we will see that the world is still a place that's full of opportunities. And we are really now truly a world without borders, because technology has truly opened up the entire world for all of us. All right. And with that, I would like to share that my board and I are in the midst of planning the Global Women Trade Summit, GWTS. This is one of our flagship event under IWFCI. And this time next year, 2022, Singapore will be hosting GWTS. And while we still have to pivot with each announcement that the Singapore government make, all right, we are not stopping in our track. And we want to present to you a GWTS experience like no other. So in 2022 September, we welcome you to Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Annie. So many wonderful leadership development and lessons that you've learned, and I'm sure many of us have learned those lessons too, but they will certainly support you in adapting quickly and being far more agile, I would imagine, in the future, to be able to pivot quickly. I'm sure we're tired of hearing that word pivot, but you certainly have done that and done that well, and we look forward to September 2022. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for sharing. So it gives me great pleasure now to introduce to you our president, our IWFCI president from Indonesia, Hira. And so let us introduce Hira to you. Welcome, Hira.
Hi, everyone. Is it my turn to talk now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Hi, Anne. How are you? Okay. Can you hear my voice? Bisa kedengeran suara saya? Okay. So should I just start talking now?
Yes, absolutely. The floor is yours. We look forward to hearing your presentation.
Oh, okay. Thank you, and thank you so much. It was disconnecting before, so I was like wondering what is happening. I mean, like, should I talk now or is it Anne still talking about it? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm Hira SKV from Indonesia. It was really nice to see everyone gather again today. And thank you, Diana, for having this gathering for us again digitally. It's a sad thing that we cannot meet up offline yet at the moment, but I hope by having this regularly in digital way, that still can keep us together. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk today. So, talking about redefining leadership in this post-pandemic era, I think this pandemic really taught me a lot. I mean, like maybe at this point of time, I would like to share my what is happening to me. I mean, like to my leadership skill during the pandemic time as well as after post-pandemic. The first thing that I really felt changed a lot throughout the pandemic is maybe what we can say is more into going internal instead of external. Like before the pandemic, my role mostly are about having the relationship with the external sector from the company, like uh, having a networking with the outsider, having a networking with everyone outside the company for the benefit of the company. But then during when the pandemic hits, that's really changed a lot as well for us. Like for me, for myself, I felt that I really have to go back into the internal instead of focus on the external during the pandemic time. That's like pretty much the same as what happened to us as well. Like what happened to us as well means like even for us personally, before the pandemic, individually, each of us usually like really looking outside ourselves. But then during the pandemic, it's really time to actually really see ourselves inside. So I think it's the same thing as well for corporate, for businesses, and then for a lot of organization as well. Like looking back to internal. What happened for me is actually we really have to see back into internal company. What happened in the internal company? It was a really sad things to do. Like a lot of we have to cut down some of the employee during the pandemic, and then we really have to shift a lot. But then going back internal is one of the major thing that we really need to see. That's one of the changes that I felt. I think Annie Chan said before. I think it was Annie Chan said before. Like each of us are battling our own battles, and then like so even like the employer or the employee also having a problem with themselves as well. So we really have to look at that as well. Second thing that I felt that a lot of leaders that need to increase their skill during the pandemic, the skill that they need to have is actually flexibility. One of the biggest reason why I said flexibilities is because things change so sudden and then so fast. Like if you already have like a lot of plan during 5 years plan, 10 years plan, maybe like all the long term goals and everything, but like pandemic stop you from that, from all that. I'm not saying that it's not achievable now. No, I mean like it's still achievable to actually achieve all those goals. But I think uh, we need more time to actually achieve it because of the pandemic, as well as we actually have to be able to be more flexible to accept and facing the pandemic itself. Like because a lot of businesses, in this case my own businesses, slow down a lot. Like maybe like 80% we were dropping off the for the revenue. So like for that we really need to have a lot of flexibilities as well. And then another thing that we really need to make decision fast with this condition, like with this pandemic. It teach me especially. I mean, like I think it teaches all of us as well to be able to make a decision fast because things cannot wait for us. Like the market cannot wait for us. The pandemic itself cannot wait for us. Like so, we really have to be able to make a fast decision. Like whatever it is, we have to start to be able to keep thinking fast on, okay, what should we do next? What should we do after this? How can we change this into something more profitable or more to get more revenue for the benefit of the companies? So like a lot of actually a lot of skills that are new skills that we learn during this pandemic as well as we really have to have a lot of innovation. Like for my business here in Indonesia, we are a retail business focusing on Umrah and Hajj products or Islamic products. And then this has been like 2 years now that we cannot go for Umrah and Pilgrim. And our stores actually selling all those stuff for people who go Umrah and Pilgrim to Saudi Arabia. Then no one can go there now. So a lot of customer actually, they don't come to our shop anymore. They don't buy stuff from our shop anymore. So there's like we have to keep thinking like, okay, what innovation do we need to do to readjust so people can still come to our shop to buy stuff. So innovation is one of the big things as well that we really need to look for this pandemic event. So from since we are selling all this Middle East product, we actually now selling Middle East food. Like we starting to put food business like into our businesses, because if we only depend on the current situation as if before the pandemic, and then we don't know when is this Umroh and Pilgrim can start open again, I don't think we can actually survive. So I think innovation is another thing that we really need to look after as well, to look for to face this pandemic season. Another part is digital. I think everyone have to go digital now, since like what Daphne, I think, and then any channel also do is going digital we have to, for the business, especially for my business, it's more about retail stores. So we really have to go into digital, like we starting from the social media as well as the website, and then even internal as well. Like before, we always have an offline meeting. Now we have to start to focusing on the online meeting as well as like what we are doing now. We have the Zoom, the SteamYard for all of us. At least we can gather together. We still can be together digitally. I think my time is finished. Is it, Anne-Marie?
Yes, thank you, Hira. So many great points there, innovation and being able to look at what other markets can we tap into. And of course, as many of our other presidents have said, the ability to go digital, and that has opened up, as we've heard, to lots of opportunities that may never have been able to be identified had they not done that. So through challenges, often, wonderful opportunities come from that when you look at it as a way of learning and growth opportunities. So thank you so much for sharing, Hira. It's wonderful to hear how Indonesia has been going on. So thank you so very much. So now we have our last speaker for this event for the IWFCI presidents, and this is the IWFCI president from Malaysia, Dato Elaine Tay. So let us introduce her to the floor.
A very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for your introduction. And also thank you, our founder and chairman of IWFCI, Diana. Really happy to see everyone here from all over the world to talk about the challenges and also redefining the leadership. To me, I have the privilege to share both country as I'm the permanent resident of in Singapore, and I'm the also the citizen in Malaysia. So now currently I'm in Singapore. I have company in Malaysia and Singapore, so I can share both of it. So as a chapter president and also founder of Malaysia chapter, yes, our ladies in business, they are facing a lot of challenges. Some of them, they have to go bankruptcy and all that, but we are holding their hands, and continue to help them. And hopefully when it opens up, and they can, bring the business up to another level when they go global. Let me share more on about in the corporate side of it. I am the executive chairman of Octopus Group, as well as the Malaysia company. The chairman is called Lin Heng. We are one of the major shareholder in this company. And in Malaysia, the business has really affected dramatically because of the uncertainty in the politics as the election came out, and then there are a lot of changes very rapidly in the country because a new government just step up, and there are difference of the ideas, how to manage COVID situation. They change it overnight, this moment you can do this, the next moment you can't do that. So I think that's affected a lot of businesses, not only small and medium size, but also big corporate. I think for us, we are very blessed, and we are very compassionate that in Lin Heng, which is a Malaysia company, that we are one of the largest alcohol and non-alcohol beverages distribution company in Malaysia. And we have about 200 people that's working for us. And we are quite compassionate that we do not dismiss them, even though the business is not so good. As previously, just now, the leaders, a few like Hera, and as well as Annie and Dr. Daphne. So they all mentioned that we have to make decision fast. I think that is very, very valid. That if you don't make a decision fast, you will, because the clock is ticking. Okay, every day the expenses is moving, so we have to find alternative to help to bring in the revenue. This company used to be, we are still the largest, in terms of alcohol distribution. But now we have to shift it to another. You have to diversify that to sell food now. Okay, and also we do sanitizer, mask, and so on. So in order to continue to in these challenges, not to dismiss any employees in the company. Whereby in Singapore, I'm not in Singapore, so I used to travel every week, to all over the world, and I do not put much, concentration on the local market. And as what Hera mentioned, that during this period of time, I have more time to stay in Singapore to look at my internally issues, and I attended almost all the meetings, and I found the problems and the gaps and close the gaps. So now our company have put into innovations. Okay, one of it is vending machine. Okay, vending machine selling alcohol. So we are the first one in Singapore that doing that, and also live streaming selling, and also renting out studio to people who want to do live streaming. So this is the innovation that we have obtained. And also the technology part of it is to put into the efficiency, which is the using SAP system in the accounting and warehouse. And also we just started to put in the WMS, which is the warehouse management system. So that will increase the efficiency in our supply chain. In Singapore, we are also one of the largest distribute in alcohol distribution. Okay, and we have access of more than 100 people working for us here, and very blessed and thankful that we have not dismissed any staff because of this. And I think we have to thank to the government here in Singapore. They have put in so much assistance to the SME and the big corporate, that giving grants, giving assistance on the rental, as well as the taxes and all these things. So I think we are very blessed in Singapore, in the Singapore company. And I think, as earlier on, Jacqui mentioned that we have to look after ourselves, in this period of time. For me, as a leader, I often work very hard, travel a lot, and I have not looked after myself. But in the COVID situation, I stay at home. I have more time with my family, as well as look after myself every day, you know, have do exercise, eat well and all that, so that we can build ourselves into a good condition so that we can fight over it after the pandemic. Not only the physically health and also mental health that we have to look into, and not only for ourselves but also for our employees, friends, families. We have to be more understanding, have to be very empathetic, as well as to recognize stress, not only for ourselves but also for our employees. For me, before the pandemic, I often, you know, almost every week I will bake cupcakes for all my staffs to celebrate their birthdays for the past few years. And now I put in more effort since I'm here in Singapore, I have more time. I even cook for them for their lunch or dinner, not every day, but sometimes when I have the time. So I think love and care has to put in place as a leader. And also we have to stay very strong. We have to be continuously stay very positive, so that they can feel the positivity in you. You know, they can share their challenges, you know, they can speak to you. So I think that the next one is the connectivity and the communication have to put in place. So previously, I do not have chance or time to meet all my people. But here, you know, during these 2 years, I have been going down to the warehouse to meet my warehouse people. I even cook for them, I talk to them. And I think that helped that, you know, they will feel that the top management cares. I think that is important. We continue to train our people. I believe as a good leader, you have to train a quality leader. Continue to do that. And this is what we train even the warehouse people. You know, we give them a small project to fulfill. They are not unlike before. They just do what we told them to do. But now they have a sense of ownership of the project. So I think that is important in the company. But moving forward, post-pandemic, when this open up, I think our business, you know, can grow much better. And finally, that's all. I think the time's up. I would wish everyone to stay positive as much as I can and stay safe. Thank you.
Wonderful, Elaine. Just hearing you share the things that you have implemented for your team, especially in very challenging, uncertain times. As a leader, I would imagine that has really built, you know, it will trust in your team. And we have some comments which I'll share before we introduce Diana back, and she will give the closing remarks. But Daphne said, well said, Elaine, waiting to try out your delicious cupcakes. There you go. There's some wonderful networking going on in the group. We do encourage you to continue that. Very thoughtful love and care for the staff as a leader, close connectivity and open communication. Wonderful. And Namrata has said, sense of ownership among all for a project is a wonderful thought. Wonderful redefining of leadership. And I'm sure now that you've been able to do that, Elaine, that is probably something that even when things do continue to evolve, that may just be something that you'll continue to do as a leader, because I'm sure you've seen some wonderful results from your team for that. So thank you so much for sharing those wonderful leadership skills. So we reintroduce Diana back to the floor, as she will give her closing remarks for today's wonderful event. So Diana, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Well, what a wonderful time we've had together. And Elaine, I have seen your cupcakes on Facebook, and I too am going to want to have one of those cupcakes one day. So I look forward to that time when we come to Singapore for the summit. Maybe you may have some of those cupcakes there. I just want to say that, first of all, to thank Jacqui for her wonderful presentation. And it's amazing when something happens that it actually pushes you to do something that you never thought you could ever do before. And there's an old saying, when your back is to the wall, that's when you become the most creative. And that's how you came across your agro business. And I just congratulate you on that. Now, the thing that I'm seeing throughout all the chapters is all about the digital economy. Now, every single one of you have talked about through the COVID, you've had to move into the digital economy. Now, what is also being said is people are saying, I'm over being so Zoomed. So now we're going to have to get even cleverer on how we do this, and to make sure that every time we put on something, that it is something that really is relevant to what is needed at the time. And you have all the right connections with it to make it look even better than what we had when we first started. Because I know when I first started, we were the blind leading the blind, but now we're all getting quite expert at it. But look, it's wonderful the way you're all progressing. And it's just lovely to see you all and to see what you're all doing in your different chapters. And I do commend you for it. You've done an inspirational job, and congratulations. And on the summit, I just want to explain to people that the IWFCI Global Women's Trade Summit is held every year, and each chapter becomes the host. Now, we were meant to have it in Japan in 2019. I think it's so much time gone by, 2019, but we had to cancel it and so forth. So then we had to have Singapore. So next year, we will have Singapore, and the year after that, then we will have Japan. But I want to encourage you, because our summits gather people from all over the world, in the top speakers from around the world, to talk about the new reset, what is happening out there, because we need to know what is happening globally to bring it back to the local, because you will be affected by it. So I just commend all of you. What a wonderful job you've done. Meeting you all again, and I do hope we can travel soon. I really do.
I thought, Diana, we'll just bring everybody on, and Hiro will bring you on too. As thank you so much for that, and congratulations to all of the presidents. As Diana said, you've pivoted well, you've led your team well, and many of you have said it's opened up opportunities. And what wonderful leadership you have just exhibited and modelled for not just your team and for those people who you've been doing business with, but also the people now who've been watching along the live stream, who I'm sure have taken away lots of golden nuggets from everything that you've shared today. So thank you once again, and please connect with people. This is whilst the summit and the speaking opportunities are over, the networking continues, the relationship always continues. So please feel free to continue the conversation. And of course, Diana, the IWFCI website, a wonderful opportunity. What is the website URL so people can go there and check out the wonderful resources there?
It is www.iwfci.org.
Fantastic. Well, thank you once again to all of our IWFCI presidents. You do an amazing job, and I'm sure all of the people who are watching, they've been commenting there, have congratulated you for some wonderful presentations and insights today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.